It's like they're just coming one after another. No matter what I try to do, they're there. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Okay, all right. Okay, so, and I know right now you may be going through a period that it looks like everything in your life is going just the way you want it to go, so it might be hard for you to relate to what I'm talking about right now. But real happiness is not based on things going the way you want it to temporarily. Real happiness isn't based on my dream being the way I think I want it to be. Real happiness cannot be affected by anything that's happening in my outer world. Nothing can affect real happiness. Nothing can affect real joy. So if I'm feeling good because it's a beautiful day in Colorado and I get a chance to go out and hike, and then I get a chance to go to a movie and I get a chance, you know what I'm saying? Get a chance to see the person I like and we have a good time and we play, that's great, that's beautiful, that's wonderful. I appreciate that, but that ain't real happiness, because if I don't have it, I feel sad.
Yeah.
So anything that I feel sad if I don't have real happiness with yet. Woo! Wow. Eliminates 99% of the things in my experience. I don't know about you. Do you see the merry-go-round? You see the seesaw? You see the seesaw? I want to get off. and I used to mean something else when I said that. I'm so good.
You're so good. You're so bad. You're good.
I'm so bad. I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you had a question, Chris. What was your question, brother?
Well, actually, I had a comment.
Okay.
After hearing what you said, because I really want to thank you for what you said.
Yeah.
Because like these last few days, I have felt like this joy and this freedom and just freedom from like the drama and the struggle and the suffering. But yet people around me are still like suffering and going through their drama and everything. So then like my ego starts telling me, well, there's something wrong with you here, Chris, because you're not like with them, you're not in your drama and in your struggling. So there's something wrong here. So then, then I'm wanting to start getting in fear, but then it's like I just start thinking of positive things, and then I get back in that joy again. But there's that part of me that's like, oh no, that's not normal. That's not normal, For you.
Start worrying when you become normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Natural.
Yeah. When everybody starts understanding what you're talking about, then you worry. Seriously, the only thing that separates us is time. So you were feeling really good, and looked like other people were struggling and going through a lot of changes today. Unless you achieve enlightenment sometime in the near future, you won't be feeling too hot. And then it'll look like everybody else might be feeling better than you feeling and have things like it's going better for them. See, the only thing that separates any of us is time. We all go through the same thing at different times, and so we tell ourselves we're different. So my point in saying that is that the best thing you can do for people who seem to be unhappy is to maintain your joy and your happiness, so that they can see that there's another way to be other than the way they're being right now. The world teaches you to join in the suffering, and the more you join in the suffering, it's called empathy. So empathy is called, I'm going to make sure you don't suffer by yourself because I'll suffer with you. And somehow that's making you feel better. That's just like me burning my finger and you walking up to me saying, I want you to feel better, so I'm going to now burn my finger too. Now both of our fingers are burned. Don't you feel better? That's the way we do relationships, right? Yeah. So Spirit is saying this to me over and over again, so I'm going to keep passing it to you over and over again. Everything hinges on your willingness to have joy, to have joy, to have joy. Do not feel guilty about doing things that give you pleasure and give you joy and you feel good about. Those things do more to bring prosperity and right relationship and guidance in your life than anything you could possibly do, because it shifts your vibration to a vibration of innocence, and an innocent mind doesn't deserve to suffer. An innocent person doesn't deserve to suffer. Even in this world, we believe that an innocent person doesn't deserve to suffer. So when you see yourself as innocent, you will automatically stop attracting pain. I'm telling you,
wow.
That's the key. So it says, any questions about what I've said so far, or comments, anybody else, because I've covered quite a bit. And I feel like I'm down to the hardcore people who are really into this now. So we can go faster and we can go deeper. Any comments, any questions from anyone?
So basically we can lead by example and let other people do what they're going to do.
That's right.
And
That's right.
distance ourselves if necessary.
That's right. The Course says, the Course in Miracles says your only responsibility is to accept the atonement for yourself, and that means to accept the undoing of error, to accept the answer for you. When I really finally heard that, boy, that made things easier. Oh, you mean this stuff that I'm reading, I just have to accept it for me, and don't try to worry about it if anybody else believes it, accepts it? Okay, that's easier. Just accept it for yourself and watch what happens. Watch those people that seem unchangeable change. Watch those situations you thought would never change.
Yeah.
Watch the breakthrough happen that you never thought would happen. All you have to do is accept it for yourself. And hopefully you'll be blessed to have someone else in your life that also wants to accept it with you. That speeds it up too. There's nothing more important than the people that you have in your inner circle. Pay very close attention to those people you see as your intimate friends in your inner circle, because do you know they are your world? They are your world. Those relationships that you have every day with the people that you connect with every day, that's your world. And their influence on you is greater than anybody else's. So are you surrounding yourself with people that you feel lighter? Are you surrounding yourself with people that you have a tendency to feel heavy when you're with or around? Who are the people that when you leave them you feel expanded and joyful and grateful? And who are the people when you leave them you need mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and life support and one of those things that get shocked you know, in order for you to defibrillate, that's what they call it? Defibrillate or something like that? You know, it's amazing how much people will really surround themselves with people who don't inspire them. So just think about it. Okay, anybody else, anything?
Say something about, you mentioned when we feel guilt, then nothing is more harmful to our well-being than guilt.
Right.
Could you go a little deeper into
that? Yeah, guilt is a request for punishment. So whenever you feel guilty, you're asking the universe to attack you.
Wow.
That's all. That's it. That's it. It's just that simple. See, we want to make it short and concise because then it's easy to remember.
Yeah.
Guilt is a request for punishment. Is what you need to remember. That guilt serves no useful purpose at all. Guilt makes you do the same thing over and over and over again. How many things have you felt guilty about that you've done more than once? The exact same thing. So we already know from our own experience that guilt does not keep you from doing the wrong thing. Guilt actually makes you do the wrong thing. Because your ego, the part that wants to be separate, needs guilt and anger and fear because those things make you feel separate, right? So the part of me that needs to feel separate needs some form of conflict and fear so I can feel separate. So a lot of times what people take, and I've said this in the past, a lot of times what people think of as addictions are nothing but the attempt to feel guilty. And the thing that they're judging themselves for is the way they give themselves their guilt fix. So if there's no guilt around it, there's no longer any compelling reason to do it. So then you become a choice. I used to think that when I got this stuff down, that said I was innocent and guiltless and free, that my ego said, well, you're just going to go wild. If there's no sense of guilt, if there's no sense of that's wrong, if there's no sense that this is bad, you just go out here and you just run wild. You do all kind of stuff. And then but when you feel innocent about what you do, you lose all of that sense of being compelled to do anything because now it's okay if you do it and it's okay if you don't do it. And you find that you really were addicted to the guilt or the conflict that you would have more than the thing you were doing. So if you want to punish yourself, then you just come up with a form of punishment that you can make yourself feel the most guilty about.
Sure.
Okay, so if I want to feel guilt, I can use my sexual life to make me feel guilty. If I want to feel guilt, I can use my financial situation. I can use drugs. I can use alcohol. I can use cake. I can use walking. I can use clothes. It doesn't really matter. If I want to feel guilt, I'm going to continue changing what it is that makes me feel guilty so I can get the guilt. If I know that guilt is a request for punishment and I no longer want to feel guilty, then I no longer have to do those things that I used to make myself feel guilty. Then it becomes just a choice of do I want to do this or do I not want to do this. A lot of the stuff I'm saying to myself and I'm saying to you right now, but I know that none of us are going to use it until we've decided to feel innocent. So if you decided that you need to suffer for a while, there's nothing I'm going to say tonight that's going to change your mind about that, because you've already sentenced yourself to a certain amount of time to be punished before you'll be okay. But I'm just telling you what the truth is. That's what I love about this book. So I'm going to tell you the truth. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to do it. That's okay. You're innocent. I'm not going to destroy you. I love you. I have unconditional love for you. You can do this as long as you want to do it. But in the end, you're going to say, you know what? What you just said was right. I am innocent. I am powerful. Nobody is condemning me. I am okay with my Creator. Love really is true for me. One day you're going to say that. Okay. So up until then, our job is to keep on reminding each other of how it's going to turn out and how it is right now. While we're in the midst of forgetting it sometimes and making ourselves feel pain and making ourselves feel upset. So this is so cool. You're destined to be happy. That's not the issue. You're destined to have peace. That's not the question. It's not forgetting that. Is the issue. That's why we're together. And so we'll keep on remembering that. So it's saying, as we have said in the beginning, praying is asking. So when I say I'm going to pray for something, I'm saying what? I'm going to ask for something. So that's why I've been telling you in the last few weeks, live in the question. Live in the question. Live in the question. Exist in the question. Live in the question. Live in the question. Live in the question. Praying is asking. Live in the question. Praying is asking. So how does that look in the real world application of that? Anything you want, put it in the form of a question and stop making statements. I'm having a hard time with my mother-in-law. How can I have an experience with my mother-in-law that's very, very peaceful in ways beyond anything I could imagine? I didn't say I want peace with my mother-in-law. I asked, how can I have peace with my mother-in-law? I ask. It's the prayer. How can I have a financial situation that does not create fear in me in ways I can't imagine? Praying is asking. How can